Good morning and welcome to Authentic Transformation. Authentic Conversations, rather. Transformation is what we're trying to get to. But right now it's Authentic Conversations because I believe the authentic conversations is what's going to get us to get where we need to be. This is Moji Wilson. And welcome to my page. So as I wait for people to come in, just forgive me for a second. We're just going to wait for a few seconds and wait for people to come in. All right. And if you're there, just say hello so I know you're there as well. Okay, then. So I've been getting a lot of emails from people, and it's been quite exciting because people seem to be finally hearing me. And I think we're all beginning to think differently, or a lot of us are beginning to ask questions of what we've been taught. We cannot change our minds if we don't challenge what we've been taught to be the truth. We cannot change our minds and change who we are to become our authentic selves if we don't challenge what we know. So today's conversation is going to be very raw. The topic is, can women raise boys? And I'm going to look at it from all angles like I always do. It's going to be funny, but it might sound brutal to you. You just have to forgive me. It's not meant to be painful, but growth is always painful. All right, so hang in there. Give me a second and I'll be right back. Yes, I will. Hello and welcome back to Authentic Conversations Emoji. Yes, it's Tuesday and I normally don't do a show on Tuesdays, but the past few weeks I've been stuck on Black Lives Matter. I've been very upset about a lot of things. And unfortunately, the more the bandage is taken off of, our wounds, the more we are able to unpack certain suitcases. So forgive me because I might come off very angry and very harsh. It's just, I don't understand why I'm the only one that sees things the way I do. And sometimes it's very frustrating because I'm trying to get my point across. Not that everybody's point is not valid, but I think for diversity and inclusion, we have to be open to hear different thoughts. Diversity of thought is how innovations and inventions happen. If we're all clapping and saying everything is hunky-dory and we're not looking to change ourselves and we're not looking at ourselves to even change the status quo, we're not going to grow. And I often speak to Black people because I am Black, I'm a woman, I'm a lesbian, so I'm what they call a quad minority. I've been a single mother, I'm now married, I've been married before with children. So there's a lot of things that I've experienced in my life. And until I changed the way I think or thought, I couldn't become my authentic self. So the question came up this morning because two things happened. The first thing that happened was a young woman inboxed me saying she has a 5-year-old son, and she's not sure that she'll be able to raise him properly. I didn't really understand it, right? And then I said, you know what? I prayed, woke up this morning. I got the email about 3 a.m. because she's in Nigeria. And I prayed. And as I woke up this morning, I saw the article that the young man that was involved in the murder, he didn't kill George Floyd, but he was there holding George Floyd down while the policeman initially the white guy knelt on George Floyd's neck. Turns out the guy is half Nigerian. Yep. Nigeria know the carry last. You guys know that. So it turned out the guy is half Nigerian. I was shocked. I was like, what? The guy is half Nigerian. So anyway, so bottom line is that at the end of the day, the guy is half Nigerian. And now, I sent it to a few of my friends and they said, this is a problem in the Black community because, Black people, 50% of the homes are being raised by single Black women. So, me, I don't think like everybody. I'm sorry, I don't. I really am sorry, I don't, because I just didn't understand. I didn't get it because I said to myself, I said, if Black families, homes are being headed by Black women, and Black women are doing a lot better than Black men. Is it possible that we women are able to raise daughters better than we're raising our sons? And I have to ask that question because I was a single parent with 2 girls and 2 boys. So I have to ask myself that question. Is it really fair to say that women are raising their sons a lot better? I mean, their daughters a lot better than their sons? And if I start asking myself that, I have to bring the question to you guys as well, because a lot of you on my page, or a lot of you guys on this page, are actually single mothers yourself, or your dads, or whatever you are. And I need to hear from you because it's a question that's really bothering me. I have a 19-year-old and I have a 17-year-old. And the question is, are women actually able to raise sons? Because if this young man was there when George Floyd was being killed, he didn't have to be a man. He didn't have to, he just had to have integrity. He had to have compassion. He had to have all of the things that makes us human. So if he's standing there while somebody is being killed and murdered on his 3rd day at his work, are we really going to blame blame the mother? Because mothers get blamed for everything. Everything. We get blamed for everything. The sun is coming down, it's the mother's fault. My daughter is crazy, it's the mother's fault. Everything we be blamed for. But in this particular case, I said, okay, let's examine this thing. Let's find out. Let's really talk about this. Let's find out if this is the truth. So I said, let's talk about it because it's really hounding me. All right, give me a second. So I'm asking you again, is it possible for women to raise sons? White women do it quite okay, seems like. Single white women can raise their children and their children turn out perfectly okay, but it seems like Black women are being told we can't raise sons. Why? Now, one thing that I know for a fact, right? Hold on 1 second. I have to answer a text real quick. My sincere apologies, right? Okay. So one thing I know for a fact is that Black women have always carried the luggages in all homes. My father had 12 wives. There's no shame about it. And I realized as I was thinking things through that most of those women did not live in the house with us. They didn't live in the same compound with us, but they were able to raise their sons. I have a brother who's about 6 months younger than me, and he runs Citibank in France, in Paris or something like that, right? I have another brother who is into shipping and things like that, and they never really lived at home. Their mothers, but my dad was very involved. He paid tuition. He paid, I don't know if they called it child support in those days, but he took care of his kids financially. Even me that I lived at home, my dad was not always there. But I know from the way he was around me that I learned a lot of life lessons. So let's start with the basic, yeah? Because we blame a lot of things on mothers. We blame a lot of things on their dads as well. Let's start with the basic thing here. Basic, right? Just follow me for a second and please don't get upset. And if you get upset, I'm sorry. I can't help it. But let's ask questions of ourselves, right? So a woman meets a guy. They start dating. And the guy says, I like you. And the woman hears, ooh, he wants to marry me. Ooh, he wants a family with me. Oops. He says, I like you. I mean, come on now. I like pizza. Doesn't mean I want to marry pizza. I like Ayomide, our dog. It doesn't mean I want to be with Ayomide or have a child with her. A lot of us women don't have conversations with men. We don't have conversations. Even he might say, I want a child, but you have to be more specific in 2020. I want a child. I want a family. You have to ask the man, do you want a family with me? Are you looking to have a child with me? A person can want a child, but not with you. Maybe you don't have the attributes or the qualities the man wants in you, right? I'm just saying, just play devil's advocate here. So you meet a guy, you're kicking it, you're in a situationship because you've never really had conversation about being in a committed relationship or a monogamous relationship, right? So the women are all running around because he's spending money on them and he's taking them out to expensive dinners and this and that. So they get all excited and they're thinking, oh my God, I'm actually in a relationship with this guy. No, you're in a situationship with a person. Until you've actually had conversation with this person, it's not a relationship. You're kicking it. You're knocking boots. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's not a relationship. Until you have a conversation with a person, a man or woman, it doesn't matter if you're straight, gay, crooked, money sexual, trisexual, any kind of sexual out there. It doesn't matter until you have conversation with a person. You cannot determine that you're in a relationship with the person or a romantic relationship. You're in a ship. That much I can tell you. But you have to figure out if you're in a money ship, a relationship, a love ship, a kicking it ship, a friendship. Friendship sometimes comes with benefits. So you have to decide what it is that you're looking for. But until you have conversation, it's like when you go to buy a house and you tell the homeowner puts their house on the market for $150,000. You have to negotiate the price. You have to negotiate the contract. You can't just assume that everything is all hunky-dory and the price is right. Right? You can't just assume that the homeowner is going to think about because that's all you can afford. So why then do we women continue to have babies with men or people that we have not had conversations with for whatever reasons, and then we blame the person? I mean, I can't be. I asked my wife asked me today if our son goes and have an affair with a young girl and he gets the girl pregnant. The kid is 17 years old. I'm like, his life is ruined, so I'm going to ask him to tell the woman to figure it out. And she said, flip it. What if that girl was your daughter? What would you do? And I sat there for a moment and I couldn't really think. And I kept saying to myself, what would I do if that was my daughter? Because when you have a son, you're not thinking, wait, that's somebody else's child. You're actually only thinking about your son who's not able to get pregnant and carry the child for 9 months and then probably for the rest of their lives. So I talk about being proactive a lot. I talk about, and people don't like that because I talk about being proactive. We all have to start taking accountability for our choices and our actions, right? Because if you think about it, when we're raising all this, when we decide to have children and we haven't had conversation with the other party and we decide we're going to have the child, because the moment you as a woman lay down with a man without a condom, you kind of signed up for getting pregnant because there's a 50-50 chance that you will be pregnant without a condom. So have you thought it through, or are you getting lost in the emotions in the moment? And then we blame the men because, look, a guy didn't sign up to be a parent. Granted, yeah, the moment he also decided to have sex with a woman and he did not put on a condom, he also signed up for being a parent. But guess what? Accountability, accountability, accountability. The man is not the one that has to carry the child. The man is usually not the one that's left holding the bag. So now let's get back to the Black issue here. White people get divorced every day. White people separate from their families every day, just like Black people. So then why is it Black homes that are being tagged? Why is it Black women that are being asked the question, can Black women raise boys? Why can't they raise boys? If you have morals and if you have integrity, if you have compassion and empathy, there's absolutely no reason why a woman should not be able to raise a child, a male child. See, but here's the problem, patriarchy and misogyny. Because most of us women, and I say us because I'm I'm a woman, most of us women raise our daughters to be prepared for the world. We raise them like housemaids. We don't raise them like our daughters unless you're living in Wawa land. We teach them to cook. We teach them to cook clean. We make sure that they know how to prim and prep themselves. We make sure they study and get all the degrees in the world. Why? If they're straight, so they can get married and be somebody's wife. And then leave our homes to go into the male homes and do the same thing. Clean, cook, whatever, right? Okay. So if we look at that, those lies that we've told ourselves for many, many years, that women are supposed to take care of their homes, we know that's, we already know that that's no longer true. When you go into a partnership, you do what you're great at, your partner does what they're good at or great at. And then the combination, that's why it's called a partnership. But a lot of people are looking for marriages A marriage is when you just sign a piece of paper and everybody just does whatever works for them. A marriage is where you sign a piece of paper and the man thinks you're his housekeeper because his mother has always taught him that a woman is supposed to be his housekeeper. A woman is supposed to cook and clean, and that's pretty much it. Boys are not being raised, were not being raised in my days. I'm 55 years old, so maybe things have changed. But we're raising an amazing 16-year-old, 17-year-old son. Because, of course, maybe it's because we're both women, and he sees how hard we work, and we continue to tell him that he has to continue to do the same things that we're doing. Because, look, you don't want any woman to take you to make you anga. You don't want any woman to tell you, you don't want to marry somebody because you need a housekeeper. So just getting a good job, just getting a good education, owning your own businesses is not about it. You have to be self-sufficient. And how did I get here? I have 4 kids. This is our last son. Last kid in the house. It took me raising 3 kids to get to the point where I am today. But the problem is that we women no longer tell ourselves the truth. We don't discuss the truth amongst each other. We really don't. And I think it's time that we start to tell each other the truth. Is it that we cannot raise boys? Or is it that misogyny has clouded our thoughts and our hearts into believing that boys are so damn different from girls? Because at the end of the day, kids learn from you, the parent. Because I personally would rather not have a man in the house just because he has a penis raise children. I mean, if he's a drug dealer or a sex trafficker or a child molester or whatever, who wants that in their children's lives? If we are raising 50%, if we are heading 50% of the Black homes, we have to start to ask ourselves, what are we doing wrong? What is the problem? Why is it that we are not raising young men that are respectful, compassionate, empathetic, and all around good people like we're raising women? Okay. Before you come to me with systematic racism, because that's usually, I love it. Now that's a new thing, you know? Did you see that guy in Haiti? He just murdered somebody. He followed this Black woman and hit her on the head. Everybody wants to blame the system. The system. So my question is, if we all know that the system is a problem, why then are we not doing things differently? Why are we not doing things differently? Why are we not choosing who to have children with properly? Why are we not making sure that the children that we bring into this world have the tools they need to make it in this world? And I'm not talking about sneakers or Nikes or Louis Vuitton or Gucci. No, I'm talking about moral and armament. Please, thank you. May I help you? You know, those are the basic things that makes a person a human. Just being able to relate to other people. And then when you're a single parent, you're expected to give these kids what they should not have anyways. There's no reason why a 10-year-old boy is running around in sneakers that are $300-400 a whole week's paycheck when you have to pay your bills. There's no reason why your son is walking around with an iPhone 11. I own 3 businesses. I'm still on my iPhone 7. It's not broken. Why am I changing it? That's my theory. And people laugh at me and say, oh, you're so stingy. But is it really? Or is it that I have priorities? I have better things or other things that are more important to me that I like to do without having to ask anybody for anything. See, when we start to sharpen our own moral compass, I honestly believe that at the end of the day, it's going to make a lot more sense to people. Very often, I sit around with Black women and we ask all kinds of questions while nobody's looking, while the cameras are not rolling. We have to start to ask ourselves questions. What is it that I can do better to help the Black race? And it's not just about Nigerians or Black Americans. It's all Black people all over the world. We run into the same situations. Why do you think there's so much young men out there running the streets at night? Why? I don't know. These are questions we have to start to answer. Because at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, 50% of the Black American homes are being headed by Black women. What can we do differently? That's the question. What is it that we all can do differently? People don't like this type of conversations. I always say I don't have conversations with on my show that people are going to always like, because I'm not talking about who's zooming who. That's not my business. I'm not talking about what gossip or what stars are doing. It's not my business. My purpose in this world is to help to get people to think differently. Transformations don't happen easily. Transformations happen when we're ready to look at ourselves quietly in our quiet moments and stop blaming everybody for our problems and start to ask ourselves, what is it that I can do differently? And start to read books and stop listening to everything you're told and start to investigate, because history is not really our story. Our story is not being taught in schools. The Black story is not being taught in universities unless you pay for it. It's not part of the curriculum. Our cultures are not being handed down because I remember, my father had 12 wives. If one wife says, don't do this, and I do it, I'll get slapped 4 times, 5 times before I get back to my dad's house by different people. A whole village was raising children way back then. We're no longer doing that. Am I blaming just women? No. But if 50% of Black homes in the past 10, 15 years are being headed by Black women, then we have to start looking and asking ourselves, what did our parents before us do that was right? Yes, there was 2 members in the house. Because look, you have to remember, patriarchy has been around for 1,000 years or more. Because I have to tell you, I must tell you, I remember when my dad would travel and my stepmother would tell me, oh, look, you did this. When your father comes, he's going to punish you. If a woman thinks all she's going to do is cook and clean, and then a man has to discipline the children, if the man walks or if there's no man in the house, then what? Then ask yourself what? What then do we do? You guys are quiet today. What's going on? You guys are very quiet. All 5 of you are quiet. Because I don't understand what it is. Look, we can't become a better people without looking at ourselves and asking ourselves this question. We can't become a better people if all we're going to do is continue to say what is politically correct, what everybody wants you to say. You cannot become a better people. If Black Lives Matter, we have to start to make sure that it matters with us and we start to do the right thing. Because Black Lives Matter, it's the only reason why this system, racism, has worked is because we have believed that we cannot do any better. We have believed as Black people that we are not the kings and queens that we are. Before the white man came to Africa, we were raising our children. There's a saying in the Yoruba land, right? There's a saying in the Yoruba land that says, the river was bathing her children before the doctors came to Africa. I live in the United States of America. It's pathetic what I see. Young boys on the street at night just roaming the streets because their mothers are working 10 jobs so they can give them a fancy life instead of a good life. I live in America where half the boys, 60% of the young boys are in jail by the time they're 18. Yes, there's systematic racism, but there's also a lot of young boys that are where they should not be because they don't have parents that are strict. They don't have parents that tell them the truth. They don't have parents that tell them what they need to hear. But we continue to tell our children systematic racism is going to keep them down, so they believe it. We continue to not put our foot up there because we believe that it's not our right to raise our children. I'm sorry. I'm not popular in any community. I'm like public enemy number 1 because I'm not going to sit here and continue to advise or talk or engage with people that are not willing to tell the truth. The truth is that we dropped the ball. We are dropping the ball. We have believed the lies we've been told. You know, but see, for us to know we've been told a lie, we have to examine our lives, right? We have to stand in front of the mirror naked as the day we were born and look at ourselves and say, hey, what can I do differently? What is it that I am doing that I need to do differently? Because the same results, we're getting the same results generations deep. We bitch and moan about racism and how white people do this, white people do that. Yeah, they do. Why wouldn't they? But why are we putting ourselves in positions? Because even the ones that are doing the right thing are still getting stopped by cops and shit. So why won't you teach your children to respect themselves so that when they go out, they can respect other people? Why won't you have integrity in your home? We've all made mistakes. Trust me, I didn't become who I am today because I was born that way, honey. You know, low self-esteem will make you do things that other people are doing just because. I'm guilty of it. One of the things that I started to do once I realized that this is BS and I went on a journey to self was that once I found my integrity compass and my moral compass, I was not bending for nobody. I stopped doing things I don't want people to find out. I will rather starve. I, Moji, owned a real estate office and I was shopping at the 99-cent store to cook my meals because I would not compromise myself just so we can eat fancy things or wear fancy clothing. Children learn faster from watching us. When you do not allow your sons to talk to you bow or disrespect you, they learn how to treat women. They learn how to be around other people. They learn how to treat other people, including themselves. They learn what not to expect from their wives and girlfriends. You talk about toxic masculinity. Let me tell you how toxic masculinity begins, because again, 50% of Black homes are headed by Black women. When you're telling a 5-year-old boy you're the man of the house, well, really? He has no bills. He doesn't have a job. Doesn't even know what the hell a man does in the house. Toxic masculinity starts when we're telling our sons, and I did it. I've done it before. I'm guilty. That's how I know what I'm talking about. I remember looking at my oldest son one day and he was upset about something that I did. He started to cry and I said, "What's wrong with you? Act like a man. Act like a man. Men should not have feelings. Men shouldn't have feelings." So now they bottle it up in, and when they step outside and somebody else says the wrong thing to them, they punch the person in the face. Toxic masculinity. Can women raise boys? That's the topic of the show. Can women raise boys? Naomi, that's the topic of the show. I don't know the answer to that question. That's why I'm bringing it up. You know, can women raise boys? The fella judge says the problem I have with the debate about absent fathers is it implies everyone is heterosexual. Thank you. Active parenting is the key. Shuku to you. Example, if you stop by cops, the street isn't the place to argue. Don't say a word until you are safe in the station. Ask parents and call the family lawyer. I've said that several times and I've been slaughtered, and I'll continue to say thank you so much, fella judge, for having the courage to speak the truth. You know, I don't know if you heard the whole show, but in the show, I have talked about how we have to be accountable. We can't continue to blame racism. Racism is there. It's going to be there for a long time. This Black Lives Matter movement is not going to take it away. So that's why I've been talking about let's become proactive and not reactive, because we already know there's racism. There's systematic racism. It's out there. It's going to be there for the next 50 years. We can jump up and down till we're blue. They can change the name from Aunt Jemima to Aunt Sally. They can change the name from Aunt Jemima to Jane Doe. It's not going to change the laws and the rules that have been put into place. We as Black people need to start to speak up, because when you talk about when you talk about the debate about the absentee father, they're blaming everybody. They're believing that every Black man that's away from his home is not doing the right things, when half the time it's the women that are not stepping up. How are you spreading your legs for somebody that you didn't talk to about having children without condoms? Yeah, you can blame, as a woman, you can blame the man. You can tell the man it's both our responsibility. But let me tell you, honey child, I was married to a man before I came out of the closet. When I decided to live my authentic life, the guy did not pay a dime. Because why? Because I already trained him not to carry any load. I was the one making the money in the house. I was the one taking care of everything. I was the one doing everything. I wasn't even paying child support on his goddamn child that he had an affair and had outside. So we train these men. By not train, we negotiate, we do whatever, compromise and negotiate. You don't date somebody and then look at the person and say, hey, you know, to believe because the guy says he likes you, he likes children, that he wants to have children with you. You have to ask the questions. You have to have conversations. You have to say, hey, Bobo, do you want to have children with me? Or do you like, I mean, because when a man says, I like you, he likes his car, but he doesn't want to have children with his car. He likes his shoes, but he doesn't want to have children with his shoes. We have to do better as women because it's our body that carries his children. And a lot of women use their children as a bait for the man, to hold on to the man. They use their children as a baton, as a bat to smack the man. They use their children. I have a friend that has 5 children by 5 different baby daddies. Okay, fine. She was playing the lottery to see which one will hit. But come on now. After the second or the third child, at that point, you need to start to think. Use your head. I have issues with one baby daddy. I can't imagine what kind of drama is going on in their house. And the children that we're having all over the place, a sense of identity becomes lost as well. And I'm not saying every relationship is going to work. Hell no. Life is not that kind. But the truth is that we need to start to prepare better and do better. We raise our daughters to become amazing women. I look around me. My 25-year-old daughter is soon to be in the C-suites. She's doing her master's. Why? Because I kept shouting, you have to get your master's. You have to do this. You have to do that. I kept nagging. And the other one that doesn't listen to me, I kind of party. Which one concerns me? You know, because at the end of the day, we are raising our daughters to be super fantastic humans, and we're raising our sons like they were King Tutu, like they're Jesus Christ, like women are put on this earth to serve them. Your daughter will be in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, doing everything that a human being is supposed to do. Your son will come to the table and eat, and your same daughter is the one that will pick up the dishes and go and do them. So now the man gets a girlfriend, and he thinks that's exactly what's going to happen because his mother's always done that all his lives. So when people are saying, can women raise boys? I have to ask the questions because I don't have an answer. I know we're raising a son. He cooks, he cleans, Sometimes he doesn't do the dishes. And then I go wake him up at 3 a.m. Why? How did I know to do that? Because I raised 3 kids before him. It shouldn't take 3 children. There's books. You can talk to people. You can be honest with each other. We can't continue to blame systematic racism for everything. If your son is supposed to, your 10-year-old or 12-year-old or 16-year-old should not be outside at 3 a.m. in the morning. Anyways, let alone for a cop to stop him. Because kids that are walking at 12 noon are being stopped and shot by white policemen. People are jumping up and down talking about Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. If Black Lives Matter, we need to start making sure that it does matter. We need to start doing the right things in our home to prepare these kids. We need to stop telling them that because they're Black, they can't be anything. We need to stop telling them that education is impossible wherever you are. Yes, it's not the best, but trust me, there are people that make it because they want to. Are we Black women not the same as our white counterparts? Yes, we're Black. Yes, we have shackles, or invisible shackles on our hands and legs, but that's the more reason why we need to do better. Every day in this home, I tell our son, let me tell you, you're not comfortable, we are. And you're Black. We live in a white neighborhood. There's 4 Blacks in the 400 people that live here. There's only 4 of us that are Black. And that's 2 couples, by the way. You have to be 10 times better than the average Jekuredu white boy that lives on welfare, because they will probably treat him better. But that does not mean that you're not good. You are going to be super fantastic, but you're not the best. So you have to treat yourself, teach yourself how to become better. And it's impossible for him not to want to do better anyways, because look at me, look at his mom, look at his other mom. I'm 55, still educating myself, still learning new tricks and new things. Transforming my life every day. And we're raising a cool kid. Cool kid with amazing grades. It's your choice. We have a curfew. The boy is 17, 9 o'clock. Who does that? We have to do that because we already know the neighborhood we live in. And when you talk people like, oh, it shouldn't be that way, honey, I know what it shouldn't be like, but what it is what I'm dealing with. You guys can do what you want that works for you. George Floyd now has millions. His daughter got 50 million, but George Floyd is dead. The latest thing, a friend of mine that's a comedian, I watched that show yesterday. She's like, the new cool thing is to get killed as a Black person so you can make millions. The fastest way to become a millionaire is to die. God forbid fire in the world. That's not our portion in my family. We'll rather stay alive by doing the right things. We'll rather stay alive by being proactive, because there are many racist people in the world, not just in America, in Nigeria. I'm a freaking lesbian. As a lesbian, I get discriminated against by black men, black white men, just name it. Every identity of mine, lesbian, Nigerian, African Americans discriminate against me. As a Nigerian, Nigerians hate most Nigerians hate homosexuals. We're actually deemed criminals. There's a law that puts us in jail for 14 years if we marry our loved ones. So any which way you look at it, my identity is being harassed every day. Because I know my identity is being harassed every day, there are certain places I won't go to. I won't show up at a Nigerian party that's going to be Bating people. What are Bating bush people? I'm not showing up. Even educated illiterates, I'm not showing up. Not going there. So I choose to be proactive, because I'm not going to wait till they lynch me and put the tie around my neck and set fire to it so that the whole world can jump up and down after I don't die. No, I'm not going to be anybody's sacrificial lamb. My purpose is different from everybody else's. Not all homes let their male members get away with not cleaning and helping out. I'm not their slave. Well, shuku to you, Olu. Not all homes. Like I said, most homes. Not all homes. Most homes. I don't do that in my home. And I've said that before. Most homes, black homes do that. There's toxic masculinity. We can't be sugarcoating shit, man. I'm tired of people that come out and say, oh, not all this, not all that. I said they should have said Black Lives Matter too. People were jumping up and down. Now it doesn't make sense, because when you say Black Lives Matter too, and black people are hounding and talking about killing gay people, obviously gay black lives don't matter. Trans women are being chased down on the streets in America by black people, black men, and killed. And these are the same black men, we LGBTQ, because the Black Lives Matter movement was created by LGBTQ people. See, when we're speaking in truth, we have to learn to listen. It's not everything that we have to comment about. You can say your opinion, shuku to you. I never said all. And I'm tired of debating stupid shit that's like just the goddamn fact. I'm tired of talking about stuff, and we want to make excuses and why things are the way. Look, things are the way they are because black freaking people are not sitting up. There's free education in America, then they want to bitch. We all want to bitch about how, oh my God, it's a systematic racism. Hey, what happened to doctors and lawyers and these people that grew up in the goddamn project, but they knew their only way out is education? And shouldn't those be the people that we look up to? But instead we look up to gangsters and robbers and bullshit. We're talking about black homes are being raised by African Americans, and black kids are the ones that are being killed. We need to ask the goddamn question. What are we doing as black women raising 50% of the community? And I know the numbers are higher, but because I don't have the data and I can't give you the reference, I'm going to choose to use 50%. It's more than that. So what are we doing? What are we doing now that we can do different? Are we going to wait for these kids to be killed and maimed by racist white cops? Or are we going to start to do something different? You can sit here and go and measure and mark and march and burn down buildings and all that bullshit until we start to have authentic conversations about the things that we can do different to become proactive. We'll continue to go to these goddamn funerals. We'll continue to become rich on the death of our sons. Fella Judge says, if there isn't a father in the house, ask your brother, uncle, or other male family members to fill this role. Don't have kids with someone that hasn't discussed this. Thank you, Jared. We need a man's voice here, because women are full of shit. They just want to sit around and talk about, oh, they're victims. All this bullshit victim mentality, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. You meet a guy that you think that's dating somebody else. You steal somebody else's man and you think he's going to be okay. He's going to be all yours. Bullshit. The same way you got him is the same way you're going to lose him. You meet a man that's not taking care of his children and you go open your yansh because you're so damn happy that you have somebody that's there. You open your yansh and you have babies with him and you think it's going to be okay. The same way he didn't take care of his kids, he's not going to take care of yours either. We have to start taking accountability. Let's be real. Fella just says if there isn't a father in the house, ask your brother, uncle, or other male family members to fill this role. Don't have kids with someone that hasn't discussed this as his long-term plans. Most relationships are based on casual sex situationships. Don't have children if you are having casual sex. It may be painful, but not everyone you sleep with loves you. Men have sex because it feels good. Women have sex because it feels good too. We just won't admit it. Women just won't admit that the jiggy jiggy is just freaking amazing with that person, and they're intoxicated with the penis. Like, let's be real. See, part of the problem is that women are taught that sex is a horrible thing, fella. Women are taught that sex is a terrible thing. If you sleep with somebody because you like to sleep with that person and not because it's for marriage, all of a sudden you're a bad girl. All of a sudden you're an ashewo. All of a sudden you're not going to find a man to marry you because you've been test driven. Like, really? Michael Jordan did not become the perfect basketballer or the amazing basketballer he is today because he didn't practice. You know, who wants to be with a virgin? You know what I mean? You know, experience. But let's teach our women to respect themselves, to carry themselves, to love themselves, and to be free with their body and to enjoy sex. I'm not saying go and have casual sex with every Tom, Dick, and Jones, but sex is a freaking good thing. I mean, but always remember though, sex is a physical, spiritual connection. Every time you mate with somebody, they live in a piece of themselves in you. You don't have to be pregnant to carry a piece of a person with you. Men have sex because it feels good. Children are not part of their plan. Musa. We have to start to have authentic conversations. We can't continue to BS ourselves and keep lying. And this victim mentality that we black people have, get over it, man. Get over it. A lot of us women suffer from stupiditis. I am guilty of it. I too was suffering from stupiditis. I too was right there. I too I've lied to myself. How did I lie to myself? I lied to myself. Accountability. I always knew I was gay. I was 14. But because the world told me that it's not okay, Africans are not gay, I believed it. So I walked around living a lie. Yes, and I overcompensated. I overcompensated by being the best version of myself. I overcompensated by paying a lot of the bills. I overcompensated when my ex-husband went and cheated on me when we were married and he had a kid. I was paying $300 a month for his baby mama. Can you imagine? I would buy the money order and send it to the woman. Why? Why do we do stupid things and then blame the rest of the world for it? We want to blame men for everything. Who's raising this man? Who is raising? I'm not talking about 1964. Let's take it from what? Let's take it from 1970. Let's even take it from 1980. We're in 2020. So whoever was born around that time is about 30 years old now. Half of them are in jail. Half of them are in jail. We already know it takes, and I'm a lesbian woman sitting here telling you that it takes 2 people or more to raise children. Because the way I parent is different from the way my wife parents. My wife is more strict. She'll tell the boy time out and I'll be sneaking him candy. Guilty. It takes more than one person to raise a child. We all want to pretend like we're superwoman and this and that. I used to post on Facebook how, oh, my daughters, my kids are my life, and my daughters and and people are applauding me. You're an amazing parent, honey. I spoiled my children to death. That's why they turned out the way they did. And because I caught myself, see, my daughters were around me when I was going through my transformation. So as I began, a lot of us women don't love ourselves. So we allow our children to treat us like dirt. Especially our sons, because they have a penis, we allow them to treat us like dirt. We do. I used to cook 4 different meals because one of my sons, his foods cannot touch each other. He doesn't eat seafood. He doesn't eat that. I grew up in a home where I ate everything. That's one of the reasons why the way I am. I flow. My mother was not in the house. My father was the only male, was the head of the household. Women were coming, wives were coming in like we had a freaking revolving door. This one will come today and be making pounded yam. Tomorrow, the other one will come and make spaghetti. The other one will come tomorrow and make steak tata. I learned to eat everything that was put in front of me because I didn't have a choice. So if I was raised that way, then why was I cooking 5 different meals in the house? Because maybe this one didn't want this, that one didn't want that one likes this. What am I? A cook, a maid? But because I didn't love myself, I allowed that to happen to me. See, as I was going through therapy and life coaching and this, and I started to love myself, things changed. Things totally changed to the point that when I came out of the closet, I loved myself enough to take the shackles off. And everybody was jumping up and down, oh, this and that, oh, whatever. One child said he wanted to go live with his dad because my house became too strict for him. I said, bye. I was depressed as hell, but it's called tough love. Today, the boy is in college because he realized that the man he was going to was a already deadbeat father. Share all these secrets that I've been covering for the man, all the things that the guy was already doing. The guy owes me 95,000 in child support till today. The guy will say he's coming and he won't show up to pick up the kids. And I'll be begging him to spend time. Why am I begging him to spend time? I wish I'd never done any of that. Let him go if he doesn't want the kids, want to be with the kids. Don't force him. But if a man wants to be with the kids, let him be. Let him spend time with his children as long as he's not going to abuse them. And then we want to bitch and moan. He's not paying child support. Child support is not just money. Child support is time. Child support is investing in your child emotionally, mentally, and yes, financially. And we want to complain, it's the men, it's the men. But we women are heading the homes. Let's be real. Let's be real. My ex-husband had I think 1 child when I met him, but he knew how much I love children, so he would bring the child around me. I never even thought to ask around, is it really like this? As soon as we got married, I found out because I didn't do my homework. If I had asked questions and done my homework and spoken to his family, I was busy making money. The guy was taking my cars because I'm a lesbian. What do I care? And I told him, I think I like women. I'm not sure. I've never been with a woman in my adult years. He was taking my car to go and take girls out, women out. I was 5 months pregnant when I found out that he had a 7-month-old baby outside. And I still stayed because I didn't like myself enough. So let's be real. When you have stupiditis, just admit it. Admit you have stupiditis. And you have a closet of... This is why I cannot do secrets anymore. If I have something to say, I say it. I'm not going to call somebody and go... Because everybody is not your best friend. Everybody is not even your... I can be your best friend, and you're not my best friend. So my best friend, I'm going to have to tell. Anything I don't want people to find out, I stop doing it. And we all need to start doing that. We have to start to love ourselves until we change how we think, misogyny, patriarchy. Until we change how we're raising our sons. Until we change our selfishness and our self-centeredness. And at this Captain Save a Ho, and this mentality of dating all these Jekuredu people that don't, and I say people because I'm a lesbian, and that goes for lesbians as well. Stop dating Jekuredu people. Stop dating people that are beneath you. Stop dating people that have no future, that you fit in. I say that all the time and people think I'm a snob. I'm telling you, I live that life. I live that life where I was #1 in real estate in Staten Island and I'm dating a freaking person that's a part-time mailman. How do you think he's going to feel? How? Less than. So of course, if you're here and he's here, you're going to have to bring yourself down. If she's here and you're a lesbian and if she's here and you're here, at least you can climb up. You have somebody to look up to. A lot of you women are looking down. I have a friend that's a lawyer and she's dating I think electrician or a plumber or something like that, which is not a big deal. But it depends on the level of plumbing that this person is doing. It depends on the level of electricity that they're doing. You can marry Baba Shukra, but own it. Own that shit. Know that you don't want much more for your life. Accountability. Accountability. If you don't respect it, if you don't think you deserve better, let me tell you something. Nobody's going to give it to you. If you don't think you deserve something good, nobody's going to give it to you. And then when we start complaining, we're bitching about the men, this, men, that. I have a girl that I'm life coaching, and I told her, she's like, share my story, Auntie Moji, share my story. I'm like, why? She goes, there's so many of my friends out there doing the same thing. A lot of these young Nigerian women, because they've been telling you because you're 28, 29, you're working, you're making serious paper on your own. You own your own house, you own your own car, you own everything on your own. And your family is forcing you, harassing you to go and marry somebody. Oh, you just have a child with somebody, anybody, honey. We need to stop this bullshit. We need to cut this nonsense out. And then you start blaming the man. Baba Shukra is minding his own business. You go and start flaunting in front of him. You're not protecting yourself sexually. Forget about AIDS. They give you pills now. You're not protecting yourself. You're talking about, oh, I thought he might. You what? You just trapped a man into having a child that he didn't want. And you want him to be fluffy and honey and sugar pie. And some men don't mind. But let me tell you something. I am married to a woman. My wife did not want to have biological children. She's consciously child-free. We talked about it, thank God, because I, Moji, thought, at 52, I'm getting married. Okay, maybe we should have a child. We can adopt, because I can't carry my eggs are jacked. And anybody that wants me to carry a child in this point, honey, the child's going to come out a bit on the special ed side, because I'm 52. And then I had to sit there and think, because I worked all my life with the children, housekeepers and stuff helped me to raise the kids. So my wife and I sat down, we talked about it, and she's like, look, you're 52, I'm 55. When we will get to enjoy ourselves, we'll be tied to a nappy till the child is another 20. We have only one left in the house, he's 17. Next year I'll be going to university, and we can, start living our life like with our local cancer. But you guys are not having conversation with people. You just go and spread your legs, booger. And you get belly, now you say, you go to the guy and say, oh, Bobo, I have belly for you, it's your own, come and take it, come and carry. Some guys feel so bad, they marry you. And they resent you. You born the pikin, now they resent you and the child because they didn't ask for it. They didn't ask for it. Look, let's check ourselves because Black Lives Matter. It's got to start to matter to us. 50% of Black boys are in jail. Maybe 30% of those boys might not deserve it, but there's the 20% that really deserve it because of stupid shit. They do things because they lack integrity. I've been there. Everybody's doing it, so everybody starts to do it. I've been there. And half of you mothers that are running around, you're running around. I ran 3 businesses. I had a housekeeper in the house minding my kids. They were not allowed to go out. The parties were in the house, in our home. Everybody came to our house. And shiggity still happens in your own home. Because you're so busy running around making money that you don't need. When I fell and lost my money, I thought it was the end of the world. I didn't know God was doing me a favor. Because now I had time to spend with the kids. And I realized what I've been missing and what I've been doing wrong. We have to start to speak in truth. Until we start to speak in truth to each other, I tell you, Black lives is not going to get any better. Because we can't blame colonialism for everything. We can't blame everything on discrimination, racism. It's there. It might be the foundation of our problems, but then we started to put skyscrapers on top. I have young ladies that are on Section 8 and welfare and their hair. They buy more expensive. They buy $750 an ounce hair. Hair. How are they going to fund it? They fund it by having babies so they can collect child support. 5, 6, 7, 8 baby daddies. Phil Patterson says, but sometimes the desirable are not always available. So the available now becomes the desirable. Fear of loneliness at times. Absolutely true, Mr. Patterson. I absolutely agree with you. Thing about it is that my father always told me, and it didn't make sense until I came out of the closet. My father always said, every head has a hat. You just have to be patient to find the one that fits your head. I'll tell you what I mean by that. I was 36 years old. I wasn't married. I was a single 36-year-old. In the Nigerian culture, that's like being 100-year-old and you're not married. So, I just wasn't attracted to men like that. I wasn't. We were cool, we were friends, and we chilled. And then this person came along I didn't really like. His shoes were hungry. He kind of looked frumpy and, I wasn't interested and I told him. But then my family, marriage. So I said, he's here. And I told him, I'm like, look, I'm kind of weird. Most people tell me I'm weird because I don't know, I'm not really attracted to men like that. I like men. I just don't want to sleep with them. And it's like, oh, all right. Now, right there should have been a problem. The red flag should have gone off. But because I'm thinking I'm getting over, right, Mr. Patterson, I went along with this thing. And then we started hanging out, and he's taking the kids out and thinking this is great. You know, I have a free babysitter and all that stuff. God forgive me. But nothing comes for nothing. I mean, I pay dearly for my foolishness, right? So I was looking for company. And then he asked me to marry him, and looking at him going, wait, you have nothing to bring to the table. You don't even have $2 in your account, but hey, it's okay. I can check off the marriage box, right? Got married. But I'm not sexually interested in men, but I married him. Think about it. So if I had waited to find myself, but I guess that's the way the universe wanted it, because out of that relationship came 2 kids, because he wanted children. I didn't. I had tied my tubes. I had 2 girls on my own, and then I tied my tubes. He wanted children, so I went through the process just to make him happy, opened my tubes. I ended up with 2 kids. One was born June 27, 2001. The other one was born June 24, 2003. Look at the dates. Birthday, around the same birthday months, right? And then I realized that I hated myself. I hated my life. And Mr. Patterson, I tell you, I tried to kill myself 3 times. 3 times, because I hated my life. Now, you have to understand, in the meantime, where I'm hating my life, of course, everything around me too everybody around me is going to suffer, because I'm not going to be the nicest person if I hate myself. I'm not going to be nice to anybody around me. And that's what usually happens. But then I got married. When I decided to come out, I came out, Mr. Patterson, and I decided to stand still, because every Nigerian woman that I knew at that point was married to a man and trying to sleep with women. I didn't even know there were other Nigerian gay women. I thought it was just me, and because Nigerians are not gay. So when I came out and I flipped it to the other side, right? Yes, Mr. Patterson, 3 times. So when I came out and I flipped it to the other side, this time around, I did not compromise. I stood still. I went through therapy. I went through life coaching. I went through so much. And I remember 2010, my life coach at that point, Dr. K, said to me, write down everything you want in a relationship from your partner. 20 things. I wrote 20 things. I tell this story all the time. I wrote the 20 things. And then she said, narrow it down to 10. Then I wrote the 10. And then she said, narrow it down to 4. That was by 2014. Because I'd been in 2 other relationships with women. The first one beat me up. The second one cheated on me. And she said, look, one of the things I learned from reading books and such is that what we allow to happen to us is what happens. When you are not your authentic self, you cannot attract the best of anything, because iron sharpens iron. And a lot of the problem is that a lot of women are not sharpening themselves so they can attract what they deserve or what they want in life. So 2015 came. I'm single. I wasn't compromising. A lot of women were coming at me from Nigeria and all over the world, white, green, black. But at that point, I was very sure I wanted a Nigerian woman that was spiritual, that was that had her own, because I'd always paid everybody else's way around me. I'd always been Captain Save a Hole, dating a man or a woman. At this point, I was me. I was Moji. And I knew who I was. I knew what I wanted from life. So I wasn't settling. And I didn't settle until when I met my wife. What I was asking for was 4 things. She every day it's like everything is just unfolding. See, once you know where you want to go and you're willing to pay the price and do the work it takes to get there, there's no problems. But a lot of us black women are sitting around toiling our thumbs. I walked that life and I blamed everybody. I blamed my father for that was his life. He didn't owe me. I blamed everything on my father. I blamed my mother for leaving when I was 1. Thank God she left me. I would have been living in a freaking village, selling yam on the street corner by now. So we continue to make excuses and blame ourselves, like the universe has plans. There's so much available to us in the universe that we're not tapping into. Can black men, can women raise boys? That's the question. And I say yes. I say yes, but they can't do it alone. They cannot do it alone because, and I'm not saying they need a male figure. I'm saying they need somebody else's energy. There's a reason why the universe decided that it's going to take 2 people And I say two people because these days we don't really need a man to procreate anymore. They make test tube babies. They have all kinds of stuff. There's IVF and all kinds of stuff, but we still need the sperm of the guy. If you have a male figure in your life that can participate in helping you raise your child, fantastic. What you need is two or more people that have integrity, that have morals, that have grit. Because it's not easy to keep these kids focused these days. I mean, there's computers, there's Facebook, there's TikTok, there's this, there's that. They learn more online than they do anywhere else. They do. So you have to be strong enough, you know, to take the cell phones away at a certain time. You have to be strong enough to tell them no. You have to be strong enough to put your foot down. And you have to be okay with being single for a while. I have a lot of friends that only date married men because they don't want a full-time husband. And I'll tell you, I asked one of them yesterday, I said, what is your problem? She said, look, the married guy, his wife is giving him a hard time at home. When he comes to me, it's a vacation. And that's her choice, that's her life. It's not something I would ever do. It's not something I co-sign, but it's her life and I can live with it. But one thing I will not allow her to do is to come to me and tell me bullshit stories about how the guy mistreated her. Because in my opinion, if you're sneaking around with somebody, you already told him that you value yourself less. You already told him that you want to be second-class citizen. You already told him that you're not worth having somebody of your own. So then why should he treat you like a queen? Why shouldn't he treat you like a toy? Think about it. Again, my opinions are not for everybody. My opinions are not for everybody. The people that receive it should put to you, explore it, think about it, go do some research. There's so much information out there. Go to the University of YouTube if you have to. Just make sure that you carry a C with you because there's so much information out there. You have to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, nobody else is going to love you. And you have to know your worth. If you don't know your worth, you can't teach your children to know their worth when you don't. A lot of Black women think they don't feel worthy unless there's a man in their lives or they have a relationship if they're gay or lesbians. And that's part of the biggest problem. Hindsight is a mega 2020. Shuku to you, darling. And your Lorunda, trust me. Those red flags are there from day one, yeah? We just have our blinkers on. I had blinders on. I had rose-colored glasses on. My glasses used to be purple, as a matter of fact. I just started wearing clear ones lately. All my glasses in the past, because, you know, when you're a Buddhist, I was taught for 15 years, what you want to see in the world is the only thing you see. Problem is that if I'm only seeing the flowers across the street, and I don't have a panoramic view of life, as in the good, the bad, and the ugly, all I'm looking at is the flowers across the street. I'm not going to see the car that's coming at 110 miles per hour. That's going to mow me down as I'm running across, darting across the street to go smell the roses. We need to have a panoramic view. We need to be open-minded. We need to pay attention to small details as Black women more so than our white counterparts because of white privilege. We need to be strong in our, I wanted to say faith, but I won't say faith because I'm not religious. In our spirituality, but more so we need to love and value ourselves so that we can teach our children how to love and value themselves with our actions. Every time you stay with a man that's beating you up, every time you stay with a man that's mistreating you, you're teaching your sons and your daughters. You're teaching your sons that women are garbage. You can treat them any way you want to. Anytime you, as a woman, stay with a man that's abusive, you're teaching your daughters that it's okay to be abused. Everything comes with a price. Are we willing to pay the price? Because it takes a village to raise a child. When that was said, the villagers knew what they were talking about. It's exhausting raising children. First of all, before you go and have a child, I'm begging you in the name of God. Before you go and start having children, because everybody's having children, decide first, do I want children? Am I willing to pay the price? Because you're stuck for the rest of your lives. Stuck. And people are having children. I've spoken to 3 or 4 women lately, and they're talking about the fact that, oh, I'm having children so that when I get older, somebody can take care of me. Honey, honey, go to a nursing home and see how many fantabulously rich women I go to visit in the past before COVID. I go and spend time in a nursing home once or twice a month on a Saturday. Go there and see all these women with pictures of their children, grandchildren that they haven't seen in a year, waiting for them to die so they can get all the money. Go to the nursing home and visit. That will teach you life lessons. That's what 5 years ago when I started going to the nursing homes and listening to these older people talk about how they wish they had lived their life more, how they wish they had given their children the reign to run their own lives, as the children run their own lives many years before, is when I started to preach to you guys about self-actualization. Because the worst thing in the world is to regret not self-actualizing, because what happens is that you start to resent your children. Verbal abuse comes in, emotional abuse comes in. You know, maybe you're not physically abusing your children, but you are emotionally and mentally abusing them. A lot of us have had to use our daughters, older daughters, as nannies and babysitters. I did it when I was poor. My stepmothers did it not because we were poor, because I was just there. So I thought it was okay. Ask yourself before you have these children, do you really want children? 3 things, Bere, I'm going to ask you guys to take away today. Share the video, subscribe to the page if you like what I'm saying, share the video, because we need to start to have authentic conversations. I don't make money off of anything I do here. I'm a realtor and a life coach. And now I'm the designer. I learned to sew from the University of YouTube. Truth is, 3 things. Before you get married, before you sleep with a man without a condom, ask the man if he wants children with you. Because if he says, yes, I want children, and you don't ask, do you want children with me? Then it's called entrapment in Moji's world. Ask yourself, are you ready for children? Do you want children? Are you willing to sacrifice? Because having children, there's a lot of sacrifice, I'm telling you. There was a time that we went broke. I went broke. Moji, was homeless for a while. And I had very limited amount of money, and I chose not to go on welfare. So I would have $10 and go to the 99-cent store, right? 99-cent store. And I would buy chicken, rice, a little thing of oil, and I would cook for less than $10. A full course meal, and post it on social media. I had no shame. So make sure that you're willing to sacrifice for those children. Make sure that you have the time to invest in these kids as well. Because everybody, look, I'm so great. I said to my wife yesterday, I said, look, you are traveling the world for your job. My wife is a doctor who's not corporate, who's now corporate. So she builds healthcare systems all over the world. Healthcare systems all over the world. One day she might be in Brazil, next 2 days from now she might be, well, before COVID, she might be in Chile, maybe it's Paris, maybe it's here, maybe it's there. Where in the world is she going to fit a child? So if you're one of those people that have aspirations to become something super freaking amazing, honey, don't pop out children because you don't have time for the children. You really don't. Ask me how I know. I ran 3 businesses. I had a restaurant, I had a talent management company, I was putting people in big time movies, and I ran a real estate office. I didn't have time for my kids, but I had a housekeeper. That's one of the reasons why I married my ex, because free babysitter. I paid the price because everything comes with a price. See, I told you guys, when you start looking at yourself objectively, you learn a lot. But most of us, we want to be victims. Oh God, yeah, he did this to me, he did that to me. Honey, you had a part to play in it. So when we're talking about this black man running around and leaving their kids behind, no. Check yourself. Check yourself. Check yourself. If you're planning on being somebody big down the line, don't go and be popping out kids like rabbits, because you won't have time for them. Family planning is very important. Make sure you have enough kids that you can afford. Moji, how could he say that? Fact. Make sure you have kids that you can afford. How do I know? When things went bad, if I had 8 children, I couldn't feed them with $10. But I had four. Even four was a lot. It was a struggle to put them through school. It was a struggle sometimes to get them through school. There was a day that I was just talking about that this morning. There was the day that I had sold my Mercedes-Benz ML430 because the market had crashed. This is about 2010 or something. And I bought one daughter a car. The other one was going to university. So I'm putting the money together. I'm selling my jewelry. I'm selling this. I'd worked all my life. If I'd had 8 children, it's impossible to survive. But I didn't, thank God. Right after the last one, I tied my goddamn tubes because I knew this relationship was... But a lot of us don't have the courage. See, until you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, life ain't going to get better. And if you're thinking about having children, make sure that you don't think everything is going to be always hunky-dory. Make sure you don't think you're going to have perfect children. There's no such thing as perfect children. Make sure that you're willing to pay the price to have these children, and make sure that you remember that the children that you're raising for the public. Because when they step outside your door, they have to interact with other people. Make sure that you train them to be respectful of themselves and others around them, and especially authority. There's a lot of bad cops out there, a lot. But there are those bad cops that just want to go home to their family. So if your child is running their mouth and shit happens. Yes, the cop will lose his job, but your son is dead. Can women raise sons? I think yes. But they have to be able to raise the sons in truth, with integrity, with a compass, a moral compass that's not broken. See, all this free-for-all, politically correct stuff that we're doing in this 2020 shit ain't gonna work. All this Black Lives Matter, every white person is bullshit, ain't gonna work. We have to take accountability. Everything that happens in life, there's 2 roles. What could I have done differently is the question I ask myself, and I train my kids to do. Become proactive, because we got to do better. Until the system starts to change, we have to do better raising them. We really do. Nobody has perfect children. I told my oldest son the other day, I said, don't go marching. Coronavirus is outside. He said, well, I'm fighting for Black lives. I said, oh, honey, you are a Black man. You're fighting for Black lives. Black men are dying faster than white people with corona, because half of them are overweight. They have diabetes they don't even know. They have not checked their prostate, so they don't know if they have prostate cancer. Honey, I gave it to him real good. Because if he's going to step out there and risk his life for Black Lives Matter, I need you to risk your life, your Black life that does not matter to you. I need you to risk your life with full information, and you must make your own decision. I said it once and I left it alone. Half the time what we do is we're selling shit covered, sugar coated, telling these kids lies upon lies. My thing is, every goddamn Black life matters. Yes, Black lives matter too. If we don't teach our sons to respect themselves not to join gangs, if we don't spend time with our children where they're missing that connection and love, or if we don't bring other people into their sphere so they can learn from other people, because we think we can make it, we're the queen. If we don't start cutting our coat according to the fabric that we have, and stop working 10, 15, 20 jobs for shit we don't even need. How do I know? I went from living in a big, massive 5-6 bedroom house, finished attic, finished basement, 4 bathrooms, 4 cars in the driveway, to being homeless, driving a bicycle. And let me tell you something. I learned that I could live with a lot less. So today, even though things are great, I'm still living with a lot less. Because I've learned that I don't need to, what do I need really? I'm 55. Well, if I keep gaining weight like I am, I'm going to need more clothing. But really, Now I just buy little here, little there to add to my wardrobe. Because, and you don't have to pay full price either. There's so much we all can do better until we're willing to start asking the questions. Can women raise sons and listen to each other and have conversations amongst our friends, our brothers, our boyfriends, our everything? We're not going to do right. Black lives will only matter to white people because they don't hijack the shit. Black Lives Matter has been hijacked by white people who now wants to treat us like sorry asses, and they want to change every goddamn name in the book. They want to do this, and they're all apologizing for shit they didn't do, instead of asking us what we need, like libraries, like community centers, like schools, like, I mean, grants, like home, like stop staring us when we go buy houses. Instead of them having honest conversations and shit, they already stole the movement. I mean, like 5 different groups created by white women who want to unpack racism. How the fuck are you unpacking racism? What do you know about racism? Come talk to black women and men. Because to unpack racism, you have to unpack the whole thing, not just the fluff. And you can't sugarcoat the bullshit either. Because me, I don't want a job I don't deserve. I don't want a job I don't deserve. All I'm asking for is equal rights, equal opportunities, equal access to education, equal access to the polling booths, equal access to everything. Don't have a cop stop me on the street corner because I'm black and other black people have done the same thing. Because what they do, when people say they're profiling you, yes, they have to. Because a lot of black people keep doing stupid shit. And they use data. That's how they profile. So the less stupid shit that we do, the less racial profiling will be. I mean, we too have to help in this movement. We can't just lay back and say, I have a right to be scratching my balls in the middle of the street, dangling my willy in the middle of the street because we're in America and I have a right. Honey, no, you have a social responsibility. But we don't want to hear that. Black people don't want to hear that. No, no, no. It's always the white man's fault. Yes, it is. But we too have a little bit of something to play. There's a price for everything, folks. But we need to get to the foundation of our issues and our problems. Black Lives Matters should matter to us. Like I told my son the other day, you're going to protest Black Lives Matter. Coronavirus has been said to kill more black men, not even women, men, than white people. But you're willing to risk your life because Black Lives Matter. Let me tell you, if you stay alive, you can go to law school, run for the Senate, run to be whatever you want, meet them at the table where they're changing laws. You can become an accountant. You can become this. You can become. He was called. And I know a lot of people will say, Moji, you're such a bitch. So be it. But this bitch's son is going to be alive. That's a fact. Think about it. Yep. We got to do better. We really got to do better. My name is Moji Sola Wilson. I thank you all very, very much for joining me. This for me is like it's like therapy because there's so much going on outside on social media and I really try to stay out of it. I really try really hard because there's so much garbage. I mean, I'm in a room where white people are just like, oh, what can we do? Should we go and buy them coffee? Oh, next time I'm online and I see a black person and I'm just going to pay for their grocery. I'm like, I could probably buy you 10 times. I'm sorry, but honestly, I mean, we're not asking for handouts here. And because we're not asking for handouts, we too have to look within our communities and see what it is that we can fix. Yes, there's racism. And I know people say black people cannot be racist. I beg to differ. Because black Americans don't like Africans. They don't, especially me. They don't like me because, oh my God, Moji tells the truth. Moji tells them as it is. Because there's fact and there's fiction. There's schools but it's hard to get into schools as a Black person. So, honey, bring your grades up. Our son came home with 3.4. I'm like, whoa, I did the same thing my parents used to tell me. Where's the rest? 4.0? Your friend has 4.3. You're coming on what? Go back and get more. He came back home with 3.7. Last year of high school, 3.7. Where's the rest? That's how we were raised in Africa. Well, most of us were raised in Africa because some people didn't go to school. So we need to start passing that on to the people around us, expecting the best version of them. But see, we can't stay indoors all these months. I've been indoors since February 13th. We can't stay indoors for all this time with coronavirus, with people dying around us and all kinds of madness. Buildings were burnt and we come out the other end the same. It's bullshit if we do. All that the universe has done so we can sit still. Black Lives Matter, George Floyd dying. George Floyd's life should not go to vain. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. Yes, Mr. Patterson, definitely. I don't know if you're a man or woman, because, sorry, my apologies if you're a woman. Environmental factors. See, most average, I'm going to post a picture of a school that I picked up to fix in Nigeria. No roof, no ceiling, just the floor. And kids are excited to go to school. In America, they get free food, they get this, they get that, and people still don't go to school. Environmental factors. That's why it's important for all of us to start speaking up loud. We're no longer enslaved, but we are up here. See, and a lot of people that free themselves are now public enemy, because God forbid you tell the truth. You tell Black people to go to school and get an education. Oh my God, Moji, how could you say that? How could you? How dare you? Go to school, get an education. Meet them at the boardroom. Go to school, get an education. I don't care if it's a formal education. Become the best plumber in your neighborhood. Honey, the white people are going to need you to unclog their toilets. Become the best bricklayer in your neighborhood. The white people are going to need you to build their homes. Become the best version of yourself. That's the sermon I preach. We're not all going to be the best of the best of the best. But if you're just the best version of yourself and your moral compass is intact, then you know when your parents tell you to stay home, you're not going to go out. You're blaming the victims. No, I'm not. I'm stating a fact. The 5 young boys in New York, none of them had their parents' permission to go hang out in that place that night, in the park. Imagine if they had stayed home. That would never have happened. But no, we don't like to hear the truth. I'm not saying it's their fault. We already acknowledge there's racism. We already acknowledge a whole lot of shigidi is going. But the main problem here is we need to raise these children better. We need to give them the tools. And all our children are not going to come out right. I assure you that. But at least if we, it's like, you know, when you planting, my father used to make me go to the farm before summer holidays abroad. So you go to the farm and you put the seeds in the ground and you water the thing and you weed it. It's not all of them that will grow right. Some will grow crooked, some will die, some won't even come up. They won't sprout at all. Right? But I was already a winner because I put the seeds in the ground. I have 4 kids. 4. Only 1 lives with us. The other 2 are grown. Out of the 2 grown one, I'm very close to 1. And the other one I'm not even talking to at the moment. So it's not, don't sit there thinking, I know it all. I don't. That's why I always ask questions. Can women raise sons? Because we're not having the same problems with our daughters in the African American communities. We're not. Because we raise our daughters with fit with a really tight hand. We prepare our daughters for the world. We really do. But we don't do the same for our sons. We got to do better. And I know we can. But we have to continue to speak in truth. Because without the truth, yes, emancipate yourself from the mental slavery, Musa. Thank you, Enioloruda. We really do. We all have been to places where our parents do not approve of. Yes. Olu, you like to make excuses. We all have, and we've also paid the price. I don't know about you, but I used to jump the fence in school, in boarding school in Nigeria, to go and eat at the Bookers. We've all done that. All I say, I'm not saying anybody's perfect. I'm not saying anybody is this or that. And I appreciate your comments, by the way, just so you know, because I don't want people that clap for me. I want people that are willing to have authentic conversations. If that's the way you feel about it, then keep telling your kids to keep doing whatever it is that they want. I told my son how I used to jump the fence to go out and eat, and how I used to get beat up in front of the podium. They'll put me on stage every Monday morning, because Friday I had gone out. The same security man that I bribed to leave the compound will be the one that reported me to the headmistress. And every time I paid the price, they will beat me with koboko in front of the whole school. Sometimes they'll have me kneel on the mountain in the sun. I paid the price. But why are we going to continue to make excuses for our children? This is part of the problem. When we're talking about disciplined children and you're saying, we have all gone to places where our parents would not approve. Yeah, but you made it alive. Problem is, half the time, these kids are not making it back home. Half the time, these 5 boys went to jail. Use their story to teach your kids. Use the stories of the ones that didn't make it home to teach your children. You want to sit here and tell me, Olu, we have all been to places where our parents who do not approve. Yeah, but you made it home. They spent 5 years in jail, raped, beaten, abused. I'm going to continue to use their stories when I speak in high schools like I do. We're talking about authentic conversations here. You want to continue to sugarcoat shit and pass it on to the people all over the world? Shuku to all of you guys. I don't do that anymore. I'm 55 years old. I'll be 56 in a few weeks. I have seen a lot. I have done a lot. I've made a lot of goddamn mistakes. Until we have the courage to stop this politically correct bullshit that our black people are doing lately, making all white people want to give us money and buy me coffee and this. I don't need your goddamn money. I need your respect. We have to start telling our children, look, this is the possibilities. You have equal rights. Yes, go out and do whatever the hell you want to do, but these are the consequences. But I'm not going to sit here and tell my kids, we have all been to places where our parents who did not approve. Yeah, but there's a lot of people that didn't make it home because they got shot. I was lucky I made it home. We're talking about racist white cops. We're talking about 5 young men that spent 5 years in jail. Honey, keep it up. Keep talking the bullshit. Keep sugarcoating stuff. Keep putting sugar on top of shit and serving it to your kids. And then when they get killed by policemen, or when they go to jail and it destroys their lives and they can't vote and they can't get a student loan and they can't do this because they have a record. They can't even get a decent apartment because they've been to jail. Unless that shit is expunged, unless that shit is sealed, it's still in their records. Keep sugarcoating the shit and giving it to the black boys. Until we start having authentic conversations and telling the truth to our sons and daughters, until we start loving ourselves enough to allow our black lives to matter to us and paying the price to stay alive. I don't want to be famous. No, I don't want to be famous for getting shot. I definitely don't want to be famous because my son was killed because I told him that, oh yeah, I used to do things that my parents, yeah, I told them, but I'll make sure you tell them the consequences as well. We're in 2020 where a white cop knelt on the neck of a white cop knelt on the neck of a black man. And the whole world watched it. It's time we do something differently. It's time we become proactive and not reactive. Because every time we march, they give us a little crumb and we all run away and go away. Every time we march, they give us this, they give us that. Shit don't change because the system is being set. Until the system is changed, we have to start changing ourselves so we can make it home, so our children can make it home. And most of us, look at the ratio of the boys that are being killed and locked up and the ratio of the girls. So obviously, The disconnect is the boys. So I respect everybody's opinion. Shuku to you how you want to do your thing. Shuku to you with whatever it is that you believe in. It's not my business. Me, I speak my truth. We have to become more proactive than reactive. Can women raise boys? I don't know. But I believe anything is possible. It takes a village to raise a child. But it also takes raising the children in truth, with respect, with a compass that's not broken. But for you to raise a child with a compass that's not broken, you yourself can't have a broken compass. Because children learn from you and I. They don't just learn from what we tell them to do. And we also have to be around. If 50% of the Black American homes are headed by black women, it's time we need to sit down with each other, among our friends, and start having these conversations. 3 things I want you to leave with today. Again, I repeat, just 3. That's all I ask for, just 3. Before you have a child with anybody, I don't care if you're gay, straight, crooked, monisexual, homosexual, heterosexual, green card sexual, I don't care. Have the conversation. Do you want to have children with me? Or put a rubber on, put a condom on, put a bag on it, put some zip. I don't care what you put on it. Make sure you're not having unprotected sex. That's number 1. Number 2, start raising your boys the same way you raise your daughters. Misogyny and patriarchy has destroyed our culture, African American culture. This thing where we put 5-year-old boys on a pedestal and tell them they're the men of the house with no job, no money, no nothing. Big wahala. Wahala in English means problem. Step number 3, we need to start speaking in truth. Stop making excuses for the things that you are accountable for. Accountability, when we're able to look at ourselves objectively, that's the only time we can change things. If you're looking to transform your life, so you can transcend your life into a better way of living, you got to be willing to pay the price. You have to be willing to pay the price. Because everything, let me see that. I'm doing things in my community with my sons as mentors too. Good for you. We all are. I mean, anybody that has common sense and is able to do, well, not everybody that has common sense, but anybody that has access to a little bit of something is doing things. I have women that are living in the project that are on the same team as I for the homeless shelter that we all go to. So it's not a status symbol. It's not thing. It's morals. It's compassion. It's empathy. You don't need money to have compassion. You don't need money to have empathy. Actually, when I didn't have money is when I discovered a whole lot of shit that I could do for the community. It's crazy. But my fall was one of the best things that happened to me because I saw what you can do with just compassion, with drive, it's not money. It's not money that makes me go to school, to high schools, and give them talks about how not to discriminate against Black people. Or gay people, rather. I don't get paid for doing what I do on social media. That's mentorship. It's visibility. So shuku to you, Olu, because I don't want people to think it's money that makes people visit. No, shuku to you, everybody out there that's doing a little bit of something. My wife said something to me when I first met her because I was running around. This was around 2016. Trying to build schools here with my own money, send this one to school, do this and do that, and I'm all over the place, She said to me, you cannot boil the ocean, but you can boil the ocean 1 cup at a time. So if Olu is doing things in a community and Phil Patterson is doing something in his community and Olua something, I forget the name, is doing... Eniolu Oloruda is doing something in her community, we are all uplifting the community. We're boiling the ocean 1 cup at a time. And that, my friends, I think is a way to go forward. All this Black Lives Matter shouting is annoying. It's getting on my nerves. We need more action. We need plans. We need to come up with plans of becoming a better people. Racism is not going anywhere anytime soon. So we all need to become proactive. Share the video for me. Have the conversations on your page. Talk to your friends about it, especially your children. get their feedback, because we have to leave this, we're going to leave this world eventually, before they do, God willing. And we have to teach them how to manage, because the world is changing, but it's not changing fast enough. We have to teach them how to survive, more than survive, how to thrive. Stop taking crumbs and handouts from people. Welfare is one of the worst things that's ever done to keep Black people down. And poor people, I should say, not Black, poor people down. But if I say that too, I'm going to get hate mail. I'm not, and so today I'm not even going to touch that one. So bottom line is that I just believe that we all have a part to play, and we have to become accountable, and we have to become responsible for our choices. Stop pointing the fingers at everybody else. We, if we're willing to pay the price, can change the course of our destiny or our lives. You can't get to your promised land unless you let go of fear and start doing the right things and start walking straight. Speak your truth, like Olu. I might not agree with you. I might not even sanction it, but it's your truth. Stand firm in what you believe in. Authenticity. That's what we preach here. This is Moji Solo Wilson. Have a fantastic Tuesday. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be talking to, I'm interviewing a woman tomorrow, a transgender woman tomorrow of color. Okay, because a lot of them have been getting killed in America lately. A lot of, just like a lot of Black people have been getting killed. A lot of trans women have been getting killed a lot lately. So I'm going to have conversations with her, authentic conversations. So come here with an open mind tomorrow, 10 a.m. in the morning. Don't come with a biased mind, and be willing to listen. Thank you for joining us. Cheers.